So the stock market in the last 3 months has officially went nowhere. But under the hood, the thing that not many people are looking at is actually that this is extremely, extremely bullish. Major opportunities right now, major things to capitalize on, and major data to cover of exactly why the market is going sideways and not going to all-time highs. But that's actually what you want because it's going to let you allocate to the things that we're going to talk about in this video here and potentially make genuinely a lot of money. This is my Charles Schwab account as of right now. Market is still open when I'm recording this video, and as always, I post it right after I record it. I'm down a little bit more than the NASDAQ today, but that's really just because NVIDIA is being a little bit volatile. They reported an absolute blowout quarter. Revenue's going up and to the right. Earnings per share is going up and to the right. The stock is eventually going to follow that. But yes, right now we are just seeing a little bit of sideways action in the stock market. So let's cover exactly what's happening right now from the top. Number one, we are in a midterm election year. I know a lot of people have talked about this before on YouTube and on X, wherever you're looking at this, but let me just explain it to you in a way that actually makes sense, a way that anybody could understand, and in a way that actually will make you feel convictive of how do we make money with this, right? So right now we're in year two, midterm year. The odds historically of having positive market returns this year is 55%. Better than a coin flip, but basically just a coin flip, right? But what about year three, meaning 2027? 95% chance the market goes green. Think about that. Almost every single time the market goes green year three in the midterm election year. Why is that? Well, this is exactly what's happening. We had really good earnings so far this year. We all know that. We know that Iran happened, the market's been volatile, blah, blah, blah. We get it. But now what's happening is the market has a little bit of an air pocket between right now and November when the actual midterms happen. Oh my God, are the Democrats going to win? Oh my God, are the Republicans going to win? What are they going to do to the stock market if it actually happens? It's going to cause volatility and uncertainty out there. So what the market usually does is it slides down going into midterm election years. And I'll just draw this for you to show you what I actually think the market is potentially going to do. This right here runs out to November of 2026 right here. This is when the midterm election year is. Let me get myself out of the way. Right here will work just fine. The market is likely to do some form of this, kind of just like going nowhere and then bam, potentially major move going up and to the right. Why is that? Because once we get the election behind us, it's just like, phew, everything is good. It's not as bad as what we thought. You know, the Federal Reserve said that they wanted to stay. The earnings came in how they came in. All of the catalysts are kind of behind you at that point. So then what the market is going to focus on is the signal. This stuff right here that we're going to go through in just a minute, because the data is absolutely insane for how bullish the stock market is right now. But what's happening right now is that people are focusing on this stupid noise that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So people get all worked up, market goes nowhere year two, then year three, hey, market sometimes looks pretty good, right? All right, so let's build a little bit of conviction into this. Let's build conviction into where we think the market's going to go and why. And then at the end of that, I'm going to draw you exact percentages and price targets of where I think Triple Q, the NASDAQ, is actually going to be in the next couple years. We'll do it together. So I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this video here. But first, as always, we have to get the cold hard data, the data of where things are actually likely to go. So let's just start off here of how companies have been reporting so far for Q2, because this is the signal. Where earnings per share goes, where the profits go, that is where the market, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the NVIDIA, the AMD, whatever company you want to buy, that is the signal. That dictates where things are likely to go. How have earnings been so far this year? Well, for Q2 of 2026, 97% of the S&P 500 reported earnings so far, which is essentially the entire thing. 86% beat earnings per share expectations, which is really good. 77% beat revenue expectations, which again is very, very good. The expectations for the stock market are here. This is what we thought we were going to get, but we actually got this. Much better than expected. So when that happens, hey, maybe the market could go up a little bit because of that. But hey, let's keep going through the data. That's not enough to say the market is bullish right now. Next thing, earnings growth. This is what is astronomical right now and why I don't think that you are bullish enough on the market going forward. For Q2 of 2026, that's the earnings that we just got. The year-over-year earnings per share growth rate for the S&P 500 is not 10%, which is what the average is. Not double that at 20, not 30, not 40, but 52% year over year. Astronomical. Now we're going to talk about a few caveats with this, why it's not truly 52%, even though it kind of is. Regardless, the average S&P earnings per share growth rate is 10%. For the actual index going up 10% a year in the long term, that's the average. Why is that? Because the earnings growth averages about 10% per year. We're essentially 5x that. So should it make you maybe get a little bit excited when we have this really, really good growth in a midterm election year where the market's essentially going nowhere, but meanwhile, the EPS is doing something along the lines of this right here. This is where the EPS is going. This is the signal in the market, the blue line right here. Yes, it's fine. We're a little bit stretched right here. Let the market take a chill pill. Let it take a breather. But as the EPS continues, which is what we are seeing, the market is going to follow that in the long term. It happens every single time. There's no better indicator than where the EPS goes versus where the market or your stock is going to go. So good EPS growth. So we're beating the expectation. We got really good growth, but Brandon, the market is a bubble. Let's go into it. Let's look at the valuation right here. Right now, the forward 12-month price earnings ratio level for the S&P is 19.6. Well, is that good? Is that bad? Let's just look. The 10-year average is 19. So what you're doing here is this. You're paying slightly more than the 10-year average to get orders of magnitude more earnings per share growth. Sounds pretty good in my opinion, right? And if you just want to see this visualize where earnings per share goes versus where the actual stock market goes, this is the S&P 500 versus the earnings per share growth. It's just updated, like I said, on this data here for this video. Earnings per share is the darker line. The lighter line is the actual S&P. Do you see how they basically move in tandem together? EPS goes up, the market goes up. Sometimes, hey, the market gets a little bit excited right here and goes up too much. Hey, maybe a correction is necessary. Hey, maybe correction here again is necessary. But where we're at right now, the lines are pretty darn close together. So what that tells me is, hey, if EPS is on this upward trajectory right here, don't we think that the market is probably going to follow that just like it did since the beginning of time? Yeah, probably. Well, Brandon, I don't care about the S&P. I don't care about the NASDAQ. I care about my single stocks that I buy. I get that, trust me. But the S&P and NASDAQ set the tide for the entire market. If S&P and NASDAQ goes up, sentiment's likely to be good, and that's likely to carry the market, including your individual stocks, higher. Think of this as kind of like the tide of the ocean. All boats go up with the tide. All boats often go down with the tide. So we have to care about where the actual S&P 500 is at. Now, a humongous chart that you must understand to build conviction in, yes, Brandon, I get it. The growth has been really good, but do we think it's actually going to continue? You have to understand this chart right here because the growth is actually going to slow a little bit. Check it out. The green bars is going to be the S&P 493. Why 493? Because we're just excluding the Mag 7 companies. The Mag 7 is the blue line right here, okay? For Q2 of 2026, the Mag 7 earnings per share growth is like bonkers. It's astronomical, right? I'll cover why it's so good in just a second, but just know that it's really, really good. But if we throw out the Mag 7 companies and just look at the rest of the S&P and not say, oh my God, these are a bubble, they're going to blow up, they're not going to maintain earnings growth forever. Fine. Look at the green section here. This year, for this quarter that we just reported, about 30% year-over-year growth, 31.8% year-over-year growth for the non-Mag 7 S&P. What about next quarter? Projections for next quarter. Still maintaining in that range, but maybe slowing down a little bit for the green one. And then again, Q4 of 2026, 2 quarters from right now, again, still maintaining in that pretty darn good range. So when you have really good growth that is likely to continue going into the future, where do we think the NASDAQ is going to go? Let's figure it out right here, and then we'll talk about a few companies that I have my eyes on, and also this chart, which will probably blow you away about how opportunistic the stock market is. And then we'll go take a look at my stock sheet to look at actual trades that I definitely have my eyes on right now for things to be bullish on and things to actually be bearish on too. So let's go draw this out. This is a NASDAQ. We're going to go all the way out until the end of 2029. But before we plot how far we actually think the market could go up in the next couple years, we have to debunk that 52% year-over-year earnings per share growth rate really, really quick for the S&P. If we throw out Google and Amazon's earnings, that growth rate is going to fall to 33% from the 52 like we said. Why is that? Because Google and Amazon, they make private side investments. And those private investments that they made on the side in companies like SpaceX and Anthropic, they made a lot of money on it. But that's not actually the core earnings of the actual Amazon and Google business going forward. So we could throw that out and get more of like a realistic growth rate for where the actual S&P is at. Roughly 33% year over year, which is still extremely, extremely strong. So let's go plot that. But we're going to plot on a NASDAQ because they're essentially going to do the exact same thing. And honestly, the NASDAQ growth is probably going to be even better. But just flow with me on this. And I just want to show you how far the market could actually run and just potentially how much money you could potentially make in this bull market that is likely to continue. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but likely to continue. So right now we're in August. We have about 6 months left in a year. So we're going to cut the growth rate in half. So if we go to the end of the year, which is right here on the bottom, December 28th of 2026, and we assume that the growth rate is going to be 15% from right here, because 30% for the year, we're going to say 15% for half the year. The NASDAQ could end up somewhere around here, $824 a share. Okay, this is the triple Q index. But what about the year after that? What if the earnings per share growth rate maintains again somewhere around 30% year over year? Let's go like this. Let's go to the end of 2027, and then let's go to 30%. Great, we have it right here. I have to scale this chart back a little bit just so we're going to be able to fit all this on. You're getting the point here, like EPS growth might be really, really strong. Now for the year after that, for 2028, I'm going to slow down the earnings per share growth rate because this growth is not going to maintain like this forever. We're going to slow it down to 20%. So we're going to go right there, and we're going to go to 20%. Okay, let's go one more time. Let's go to the end of 2029. We're going to slow it down to 15% right now because this is where the growth rate is likely to be. Really strong growth right now, AI, efficiency, all the good stuff, but it is probably going to round out just a little bit. So what we're going to do right now is this is the average line of earnings per share growth. Do you see that where we're at right now in the triple Q? Somewhere around $716 per share. In just a few years from right now, it could be more than double, literally double, because of how good the data is. We're starting essentially at fair value right now. We have really good earnings per share growth. The economy is holding up right now. Interest rates, yes, we know interest rates are going up a little bit. You can see right here the 10-year bond yield is around 4.72%. Yes, a little bit high, but it's not out of control. I think it's basically on par with the average in the last 30 years. So that is okay. And again, I think the inflation that's causing this to go up from oil is likely to subside, so I'm not really too worried about the 10-year bond yield right now. I'm focused on starting at fair value and good EPS growth going forward from there. So what I think is going to happen is the market's going to do something along the lines of this right here. It's going to be a very bumpy ride. When the market goes down, everyone's going to be freaking out on YouTube and X saying the world is melting, the market's a bubble, AI is terrible, interest rates are going to infinity, whatever, right? That's when I lean in and be more bullish. Then when the market goes up, hey, everyone's excited. The market's just going to Pluto. Everyone's talking about what color Lamborghini they're going to get. Hey, that's when I want to be a little bit more cautious because the market is going to follow the blue line up and to the right. And when it's down here, it's undervalued. And when it's up here, it is overvalued. Down here, same thing, undervalued, overvalued. But the sentiment of humans in the stock market is usually the complete opposite of what it should be. They're scared down here. They're excited up here. Please don't be like that. Get excited when good things go on sale and you see EPS going up and to the right like that. This applies to the NASDAQ, the S&P, NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft, whatever company you want to do it on. All companies and ETFs follow the profits in the long term. So this is what I have my eyes on right now. This is where I think the market is going to go. Yes, there's going to be bumps along the way. But yes, that is why on my Charles Schwab account, I do not make short duration option trades. I don't play the game of trying to predict where the market's going to be in a month from right now. I try to predict where I think the market's going to be a couple years from right now because we don't know this little jiggling that's happening in the market right now. It's not signal, it's noise. But this is the signal right here. I could bet on this with a very high degree of confidence that I'm probably going to be right. Of course, nothing is ever guaranteed, but that's just usually how it pans out in the stock market. The stocks will follow the earnings per share in the long term. So let's start from the bottom right here on my stock sheet really quick. What are some of the things that I, hate, dislike, whatever word you want to call it the most? Things down here that are overvalued. You could just go read through the list. The more red they are, the lower the score right here, the more I don't like them. The more overvalued, the more the companies just suck overall. But if we go to the top, we start to get into the cream of the crop. We start to get into good companies trading for less than what they're worth, which is what we're looking at right here. You can see that NVIDIA, kind of on the top spot. Triple Q, kind of on the top spot. S&P, TSM, Meta, Micron, Google, Berkshire Hathaway, Chase Bank, Amazon. These are the cream of the crop, in my opinion, right here. First Solar, probably not. It's just up here because the valuation is so cheap, so it's kind of carrying the other categories higher. Basically, all these scores get added together. They get added up right here. The higher the total score, the higher they end up on my stock sheet. First Solar, yes, it's cheap. What this means is it's trading at 57% of fair value, potentially like 43% undervalued per se, right? If we look at Triple Q, it's like 3% undervalued. Meta is basically like 29% undervalued. Microsoft is about 10% overvalued, just so you can understand how this actually works. And of course, this is, there for Discord members. It's updated all day long in real time. And where I'm covering up, there's actual trades, which I'll show you a couple in just a second. But I'm just showing you like, this is the cream of the crop. Good companies for less than what they're worth. Allocate, be patient, keep your pants on, don't stress about day-to-day volatility, and just move on with your life. Okay? If you buy a good company for less than what it's worth, you need both, you will likely do good. So NVIDIA, things I'm looking at, buying shares, selling long duration portfolio secure puts, and buying calls. I think it's that compelling to do it. Same with TSM. A little bit less bullish on TSM because it's not as undervalued as NVIDIA, but still very bullish TSM. Very bullish Meta. What happened with the big bad Meta lawsuit? It got settled for 1% of the headline number. Investors often price in the worst case scenario when they freak out about stuff, and then it doesn't usually pan out like that, right? And I'm not saying the worst case scenario can't always pan out. It could, but I'm just saying that there's opportunity in some of this stuff right here to make money in a bullish way, and there's also opportunity down here to make money in a bearish way, such as buying puts potentially. It's harder to be on a bearish team than a bullish team. Like, I like to be on the winning team because everybody has the same incentive structure here. All of these companies want to boost their revenue, boost their earnings per share, and make the company more valuable. All I want to do is find that company, buy it for less than what it's worth, allocate with shares to your portfolio secured puts and leap call options, and then just let it work itself out. It'll probably be fine in the long term. And that's really all you got to do. So yeah, I'm bullish on the market in the long term. There's going to be bumps along the way. There's a lot of opportunities right now. It will be volatile, but if you know what you own and why you own it, the volatility will be viewed as opportunity, not a catastrophe, right? So if you want to learn more about my stocks and options system, you have to click the link below, 10-day stocks and options transformation training. You get my course, my Discord, my stock sheet, access to me. You see my trades in real time. I do main trades, speculation trades, everything. You get it all. It's very, very cheap. It will completely transform your life. Hundreds of 5-star reviews. But if you don't want to do that just yet, that is okay. Watch the video here. It's more about how I do my option system. I'll see you guys later. Keep your pants on. Keep your emotions in check. See ya.